But today's guest is Chris Pierce, and Chris is runs a business. It's totally geared to coach leaders and executives from the inside out. So, Chris, thank you and on being on the show. And I want to start off with asking a question that I usually ask everyone that comes on, and I find it really helpful, and it's always really interesting what people have to answer around this. And the question is this: if you were to have some sort of time machine and go back to the beginning of when you started business, what piece of advice, what's the number one piece of advice that you would tell you the younger version of yourself?
Wow. Okay. Say no a lot. I learned it from a couple of stints as an interim CEO, where I came into small businesses to help stabilize them or turn them around. What I found was that the previous leaders who had got the business into the mess that it was in had really allowed stuff to happen. A lot of it was around trying to be nice and wanting to be liked by people. And that really got in the way of them saying, no, this is enough, stop. This is a boundary here, you're crossing it. And in one case, it had got seriously bad, where a particular rogue manager had really almost taken over control of the company. And in both cases, the CEOs did not know how to respond to this. They just didn't have the gumption to push back and say enough's enough, no more. And what they had to do was ultimately terminate the employment of these people. But what I noticed on both those occasions and others is that what was driving that very negative behavior on the part of the CEOs was this overwhelming desire to be perceived as nice, fair, compassionate. In fact, I'm about to write an article on toxic empathy, which will
That's a good topic.
which will bring up similar kinds of themes. I see this in LinkedIn all the time, this yearning to be fair, to be nice, to be kind, to be gentle, and I'm not saying that doesn't have a place. We all need to be kind, nice, gentle, generous human beings, but not all the time. It's almost as if the world is searching for an absolute quality that we have to impose on human beings in order to perfect their behavior. There isn't one. The only dictum I've come across that holds in all circumstances is know thyself, or to thine own self be true. Those two work. Nothing else works as far as I can work out. And certainly being kind, being nice, being liked, all of that stuff is ultimately insidious and pernicious. So the answer to that question is say no more.